So High with Kath and Nath. It's exactly what we signed up for.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do we want to start? I guess that's what we're doing.
Here's the truth. There's cat hair on my face.
Oh, all right. Well, hi, Catherine.
Hi, Nathan. Let's start now.
We have officially started.
I just had to look at. Here's the best part about the podcast so far is it took me a while to figure out what I was going to wear.
I, as you can see, did not. I look like I'm about ready to go on air at the moment, so that's fun.
And that's my hair. I don't even know.
Time to play our new favorite game show. How much hair is in Kate's apartment?
A lot. There's a lot. So here we are. This is very exciting now that it's happening.
It was a little rocky start, but look at us. We're doing it.
Who would have thought?
So this is the first episode.
Yeah.
It's like the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
The prequel's never good if Star Wars taught us anything. So, I'm expecting 4 views, 2 of which will be my mother. What do we do? Should we lay out what this podcast is going to be in real time for our listener, who again will be my mother?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Mom. First of all, thank you so much for listening. And I think that's a good idea. Basically trying to answer the questions that anybody would have, which basically begins and ends with why.
Why for you? We'll start with you. Why for you?
Why for me? Because I enjoy podcasts to begin with. And I also think they're a lot of fun to do. Doing television has made me appreciate radio, audio, podcasts, things where you can just chill and chat. Chill and chat with Kat. That's my second podcast that I'm going to be launching without Nate. Right.
Yeah. We're developing our brand. We're all going to have offshoots. It's this will be the core.
We will immediately abandon each other for our own individual projects.
After 3 episodes, we want to thank our listener. We're wrapping up the show after quite a run.
It was a good run. It was a good time. But yeah, I like coming up with a creative thing to do that's not the job you do all the time. So this is good for that.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's a throwback to my college radio days where I'd literally be in a bunker in the Cuga Community College basement with one light. That was definitely giving me some illness because it hummed all the time, which is what you want in an audio booth, really. Just
yep, it's a fun sound. It's good.
And just like talking into a void, not even know who's listening, then going to like a punk rock show or Wegmans, I was listening on the radio the other day, man. I'm like, you're the listener. So.
I enjoy that. I find it interesting that I have discovered people recognize me by my voice, which I learned during the pandemic, where you would, go somewhere, you got a mask on, a hat on, it's middle of winter, and you think that nobody has any idea who you are. And they're like, "Are you that girl from Channel 2?" I'm like, how?
How do you possibly know that?
You said your voice, so
yeah, because you're not walking around with your your room set up. Because obviously your set during the pandemic got so familiar with so many viewers because, we were there for a year.
Exactly. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. So it's very odd to me, although I think it's weird anyways when people are like, "Hey, I know you." And you're like, "You do? What? Great. That's great. Good.
We had a garage sale sometime over the summer, just getting rid of nothing huge, just really getting rid of everything I loved as a human. And
it's still fine.
It's fine. And so many people would come up, and by so many people, I think it was like 4. And for me, that's a lot. They would be going through my knickknacks and go, "Are you?" I'm like, "TV's Nate Benson." And they're like, "You live in Kenmore?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm not making the Lewiston money yet.
You live in Kenmore." You're like, that's the first thing you have to say?
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your stories. You live in Kenmore?
This begs the question, what were the knickknacks that gave it away?
My Legos. So I had, like 4 or 5 kits of Legos, but they were never organized. My mother kept everything, Catherine. And when I say everything I owned as a child.
Wow.
And is offloading it slowly but surely, which is driving me slowly insane. My son had no interest in just 4 totes of just Legos that were not organized. So it's like, is this a pirate ship or a rocket ship? I don't know. I know it's a ship, but I don't know what. So, Dad, I'm not building this. Why does this rocket ship have a sail? It's Legos, kid. What do you want from me? I was old enough.
This is a good time to mention that we are sponsored by Nate's Childhood, being sold off piece by piece.
Piece by piece. When I was a kid, Catherine, we just had generic Lego, space, pirates, construction. We didn't have branded Star Wars, Pirates of the Caribbean, Marvel. We didn't have that. We just had 5 colors. That's all there was. So my son had no interest in them. So I was offloading them, and someone bought them, and they did the, are you Nate Benz? So that was fun. My wife gets a kick out of that because she's like, how awkward is that for you? I'm like, I'm a man of the people. What do you want from me?
You're like, well, it wasn't until you said that. Now it's more awkward than I realized.
No, I'm super conscious about it. Thanks.
That's really strange. Thank you so much.
So yes, I guess we both share the reason why. We're friendly enough.
Well, yeah.
So why not start something with your friend? You've posted a lot of quite inspiring stuff lately, and along the theme of like just do it, right? And that kind of got me going. Of like, you and I have talked about this since I came back to Channel 2. I think pretty much like the second week, like we should do something stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
And so here we are. If only people could have seen the half hour that preceded this.
It was a wild ride. I feel like put that on the Patreon.
That was like day 1 of the pandemic. Like, how's this work? Is this the camera? Like that was
100% what happened. It was a little bit confusing about what needed to. Well, you know what? Never mind. No one's interested in that. I'm not even interested. It was terrible.
Too long didn't read. As all troubleshooting in life, plug it in and unplug it and then plug it back in. Basically,
yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, right. And then you fix it immediately.
So what do you want to accomplish with this? What's a goal?
A goal?
Yeah.
Obviously, world domination should always be the goal.
Yeah.
Which I think is just a really, really good idea. I'm trying to think of who I was talking to. Oh, it was the Rob Lieberman, the Hollywood director that I interviewed. I guess that was last week.
Yeah.
He was talking about to set a goal that is completely insane. He said, because you won't do it, probably. He said, but even if you fall short of that, you're probably going to fall a lot farther ahead than you would if you just gave yourself a dumb little goal that you're just like, oh, no, I can. You kind of are like, I could probably do that. That's doable. Like if your goal is like, I want to do 10 episodes. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. I want to do 500,000 episodes.
Yes. There you go. I think that's a good start.
500,000 of this. Oh, God. I know what purgatory is.
Found it.
Nailed it. Time to play. What's worse, the DMV or 500,000 episodes of Nate and Kate?
Because at least the DMV, you can take care of a lot of things online these days. It's very simple.
Speaking of the DMV, it's only happening because I'm on air more. Like for the last last year, I was only on air 20 times because I was doing more producing. But this year I've been on air more. And on my birthday, I went to the DMV because I really know how to party. I go up to the desk and the woman looks at my ID. She goes, "Oh my God, you're Nate from Channel 2. I watch you all the time." She was the sweetest woman. And I'm like, well, great. I'm at the DMV and she knows me, so I can't be, a giant jerk. Fantastic.
Now I have to be polite.
I have to be polite at the DMV. So she was wonderful. Speaking of Rob Lieberman, have you watched Fire in the Sky?
I have not. No.
It's terrifying. Like it's not highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, which, take that with a grain of salt because it's just, critics don't know anything. But it is a terrifying movie. Not in like a gory kind of way. It's just, I don't want to be abducted by aliens.
I think it's a true story, right? Or based on a true story.
it's true-ish. It's as true as it can be when you're talking to somebody who says they've been abducted by aliens.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and of course, after watching, after you interviewed him, I of course went down that deep rabbit hole on a Saturday night, like 3 a.m. Was not the best idea, but so of course I'm watching interviews with the guy it's based on, of course with like Joe Rogan and things like that, and the guy's like, yeah, I was abducted, and then the movie, of course, is just insane, But the best part is the movie. The producers of the movie, they didn't really believe his story too much, so they really had to amp up the theatrics of the movie in order to make it entertaining, like from a plot standpoint, right? Basically the guy's story was just like, yeah, I got abducted by aliens. Okay, cool. Well, that's not a movie.
You know what, though? I feel like that's what we run into with our job sometimes is somebody has a story that is completely like, wow, this is a wild story. Yeah. And then you go and interview them and their retelling of it, you're like, well, what? They don't seem very... they don't seem interested in their own story. But that's the extreme. So I'm thinking a lot of times, I've never interviewed an excited lottery winner. Not once. And I remember the first time I was like in Rochester, I was going to go interview this guy who won the lottery. I'm like, it's going to be so fun. Oh my gosh, I've never met anyone who won the lottery. He's going to be so excited and whatever. You get there, he's like, yep. And he holds up the giant novelty check and they take pictures and Yolanda Vega's there, like the whole thing. And he was just like, yeah, which now I think a lot of these people who win the lottery, they win the lottery because they play the lottery constantly and they're constantly putting a lot of money. They've invested a lot of money into it. Yeah. So they're probably like, yeah, well, this isn't that great. Trust me.
I'm really only like $15 up. Like, this is not,
right.
It's not a good idea. I had an opposite thing. One of my favorite stories I did on Most Buffalo was the Sasquatch Festival, Bigfoot Festival.
That's amazing.
And the guy's great, and he owns a little motel right there on the lake down there in Chautauqua and in Mayville rather. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, tell me your experiences. And like it starts with I saw a Bigfoot.
You're like, oh,
okay. Obviously. And as I'm talking to him more, like he saw more and more Bigfoots. Like, so by the end of this like tale, he sees one like every 6 months now. Like it just like kept escalating. Like I've never met anyone who met a Bigfoot, but let alone so many of them. And it just kind of kept growing from there.
I grew up going to our camp, which is in Chautauqua County, and I haven't seen a one. I've seen a lot of things. Yeah. I haven't seen a Bigfoot. Not yet. But you know what? There's always time.
There's so much time. Well, with all the timber logging, he's got less and less, hideouts in Chautauqua.
I mean, honestly, though, I feel like the way things are going around just in the world in general, you probably might see more now than you used to. I mean, people might just be going. I know that I would just go to the woods. I'm done. See you later, everybody. Am I Bigfoot? Not really. No, it's like I saw a small one.
I'm actively trying to buy plots of woods so I can go. So I can go to the woods as much as possible.
Right. So it's like, is it Bigfoot or is it just some person who's like, you know what? I've had it.
Is that TV's Nate Benson?
You TV's Nate Benson? Well,
It's just in a giant cloaky jacket trying to lumber along.
Why not? You need to have goals.
Speaking of goals,
yes.
What are there any rules for this podcast? Are there things that are off limits? Are there things that are, or is this no holds barred? Is this just a unorganized stream of consciousness? What do we?
I like that. I think, well, right. Cause what are your rules? Like, for example, is there swearing? So I always, I don't know, cause I think about it as what if you're driving around in the Benson mobile with the whole family, you got the kids in the back of the car. You don't want to have me yelling the F-bomb. I don't think that might be so. It might be too much. So
it might be, and we do have, you want to possibly keep it friendly. We've got to worry about our brand, Catherine.
That's right. Our brand. I like that we declared ourselves as being friendly. Hello, we are friendly.
If only people could see our text messages.
Anytime. Oh my gosh. I always say, and I've said this with one of my friends in particular, my friend Matt Hunter in Albany, he and I would be like, if ever there is a time that for some reason our text messages are read aloud in a court of law, it would be amazing.
Yeah, just end game. Would it be an end game situation, or just be like, oh, they're maddening. They've gone off the deep end.
No, yeah, it would be like he will text me even now. I haven't lived in Albany in almost 5 years. He'll still text me if he has a particularly notable bowel movement. Like it's that kind of thing.
Perfect, fantastic.
Like he'll comment about making a salad and drinking an iced coffee, and then he has to text me and tell me about it. Like this is the relationship that's happening. So he's getting my birthday, so we're excited for that too.
Your Honor, Exhibit 42. Matt, tell us about the salad. Were you excited about the salad? Why would you text someone about a salad?
In our version of this, we are not the people who are on the witness stand for any reason, but for some reason, our texts have been brought in for somebody else. So we're not even trying to, prove that we didn't do something. We are just like these ancillary characters.
Ancillary evidence that has now taken over the narrative of the trial.
They'll be like, what is wrong with you people? But I feel like you need people like that in your life. You need those people who send you the most absurd, ridiculous messages. They're completely insane. And you're like, this is exactly what I need.
I mean, on a fairly regular basis, I send you an audio text of just me screaming into the void.
Well, you know what's funny is I actually found, I was looking for another video in my phone and I didn't find the video I was looking for, but I found several videos of you just in the front seat of the car going, It's great.
Yeah, those were all deep pandemic videos. Okay, this is what we're doing.
Well, they're deep pandemic, but also
last week.
Yeah, also fairly recently. I enjoy it. So I say, okay, so we're going to keep it fairly clean.
Fairly clean. And I think you'll quickly notice if we move on to different paths in life and the tone of this podcast changes, it's because we are no longer under the grips of any particular
Correct. Yes.
Contract.
Correct. I feel like we should go by Real Housewives rules when it comes to your personal life, because I feel like their thing is always like, you never go after the kids. Beyond that, why not? Why not share your life?
Emmeline and Harrison are off limits. Okay, got it. Oh wait, I already said too much.
Not for you. I guess not for you. I shouldn't say that.
Because if I can't talk about how they are driving me to the brink of insanity, then I don't know what we're doing.
Right. Well, my dad was a teacher, so he used to talk to his students about me and my sisters. And one of the things he used to call us was the locusts. Just because you just would. It's just
consume an entire environment.
Exactly. So he used to call us the locusts, and then years would go by and you would meet one of my dad's former students and be like, oh, you're one of the locusts.
And you're like, what the hell, Dad?
Yes, that's me. There's a sense of pride associated with it.
That depends on the story you're about to share with me.
Right, exactly. You're like, is this a delightful story or not? Do share.
Speaking of a non-delightful story, our son Harrison is at the point now where he has learned he can argue back. 1 week into first grade. So this morning, my wife Jen was saying, Harrison, go upstairs, get dressed, brush your teeth. Harrison, go upstairs, get brushed. I heard you the first time, Mom. Don't you think I'm gonna do it? I don't know. You didn't acknowledge anything. So that's what we got going on, all of 6 years old.
Wow. Oh, good. Well, that seems like a lot to look forward to.
Have kids, they said. It'll be fine, they said.
The first week of first grade, he comes back, he takes the stuff out of his pockets, puts it on the table when he walks in. He's like, ah!
Oh, let me tell you about my day. His teacher, I need to send her a note because she is straight out of college and teaching first grade. And bless her heart, sends the inspiring note, the photo, all wide-eyed, and I'm just like, oh boy, I can't wait till June. And she's like smoking and just like the grizzled veteran who's done two the terms of duty, and he's just like,
a tour of duty with the first grade.
Yeah, right. There's not, like I said, bless her heart, because there's not enough. There's two jobs in the world that there's not enough money in the world you could pay me to do, and that one is teach children. The second,
yeah, which is they're very similar.
It really is. Yeah.
Really more like is more like wrangling cats, or also you're not really a teacher. You're just the person who shows up and makes sure that no one kills each other during lunch.
Lunch monitor. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're one of those people.
Oh, good Lord. All right. So the rules, we're going to keep it clean. Anything else? Anything else off the table?
Not that I can really think of.
Love it.
I mean, I suppose we'll know it when we get there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do the
like
yeah. Anyway, about that.
Terrible.
I am looking forward to the episode. Mind you, we have no planning. We jotted down some ideas. We're gonna have an episode probably where we talk a good 20 minutes about Muppets. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which, why wouldn't you? I've often compared us to the Statler and Waldorf of reality. You and I are just like, our dream job would just be up in a booth heckling.
Yes, and just laughing the entire time at our own jokes, which is basically what those two do. So yes. Which
is basically what this last 23 minutes has been.
I enjoy it. I think the thing is that I have a policy that if people are having a good time, sometimes that's fun for other people.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Which is hysterical. It's good for us. Which, if there's one thing I've always been identified as is fun.
I think this is cheaper than therapy. Also, so I mean, it
really is. Having had my bouts of therapy, this is fine and free.
It's good for everyone.
It really is.
I still have hair on my face, by the way, in case anyone. Just update. Still
working on that.
Always.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I clearly look like I rolled out of my prepper bunker. Been stacking 25 years of food supplies. I'm like, I got the podcast. Which brings me to our sponsor. Are you waiting for existential dread? The Kath and Nath 25-year supply of.
We should perhaps discuss maybe this is a later episode when we discuss our origin story as friends, but where Kath and Nath comes from to begin with.
Oh yeah, that's a deep tease. We'll get to that. That's a deep tease. Okay. That's right. It's an episode. I am looking forward to the episode. I'm going to have you interview my wife.
It's going to be wonderful.
I already warned her. I was like, we're going to do an episode where Kate interviews you, and I'm either off screen, just like kind of in the shadow, or I'm not even involved at all. And then I just, post it blindly and hope for the best.
We end up taking over the podcast entirely.
You know what? She's a force of nature, that woman I married, and I could easily see her, doing that. And I mean that in a very positive way. Like, she's just gung ho and determined. Like, she was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to have you cook hot dogs for the senior citizens of the Y." I was like, "Yeah, obviously."
Of course, yes.
Sure. I get voluntold to do a lot.
I like the term voluntold. That's a good one.
Yeah, because it's stuff that I would probably do if I thought of it, but she thought of it for me and is telling me to do it. It's perfect.
Good. Perfect.
I can't believe how quickly 30 minutes has flown by. We're like 25 already.
It's wild. It goes by very quickly when you're doing. It is true when you're doing something fun, and then other times you're like, well, how long is this going to be happening? Why?
I think a tight 25 to 30, it gets people from one end of Western New York to the other in most instances if you drive one of the thoroughfares. I
agreed. It just gives you, this is what I say about everything that I do. Either you enjoy it and you legitimately enjoy it because it's fun for you, or you don't and you think, you know what? You feel good about yourself because you think, at least I am not that enormous idiot. Mm-hmm. It just makes you feel good.
Right. Do we need go to, I don't want to produce this. I mean, I'm going to be doing enough. Oh, hi. Oh, okay.
Oh, the dog is here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's, yeah. Hi, Paula. You smell awful. and I want the viewer to hear that you do not smell good.
Well, that was just very rude, Nate. I can't believe you said such a thing.
He's not attractive at the moment. He's not. Jesus, what is happening right now? Stop it. I'm being mauled. In typical fashion, I was trying to set this up in my fancy studio upstairs in my attic, but the internet did not go up that far, which is so ironic because I just rant and rave about the internet and broadband constantly on my professional life.
Well, what's funny is that I ended up setting things up a little bit later than I wanted to do. So I was sort of like, oh, I'll just do it here. So now I have a weird backdrop where there's a hat on the wall. So depending on where I'm sitting, it looks like I'm wearing it. So it's a lot. I have this. I mean, please watch the visual part of this podcast. I have a fake plant that's in my face. There's a window behind me. It's basically a complete lot to do.
Yeah, I mean,
hear me, which was not happening the first time.
I was just happy to get the audio at this point. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, this is a work in progress. By episode 100, we're going to be in a studio. We're going to have a producer. I'm hoping it's either Michelle or Adrian.
Yes. Yep.
And we can yell at them. Hey, pull up. It'll be just like all the. Hey, can you pull up this thing on the Google? Well, let's talk about the thing on the Google.
Exactly.
Every podcast is the same now. Have you noticed that? It's like you get the mysterious producer who nobody ever hears or sees. Like, hey, pull up flatulence. Thanks.
Thanks. Good job.
Hey, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, I mean it's the first pancake, right? I mean it's not that great, but it's still all right. It's
sustenance. I think we'll have to figure out a way. What's kind of the go home segment? I think do we leave people with a so what did you find online? What's the motivational moment that you found, or what's the funny moment that you found, or is this going to be one of those like I'm done talking to you?
You know what? I like the not knowing which one it's going to be. Maybe it's just I'm done with you and it's it.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's kind of like Larry David. Like, yeah, enough's enough already.
I'm done. I like that, but I do like the idea of the what's that? What was the other thing? It's like, oh, what have you been?
What have you been watching? What have you been
reading, watching, listening to? Like, what's the thing you're into right now?
For one reason or another, and the viewer who will be my mother, who knows I'm 37. I struggle as a 37-year-old large man with beard and glasses with watching animation, any cartoons. Because there's the part of me where it's like, you're 37, your father was not watching cartoons at 37. Don't watch cartoons. Be an adult. Go watch Clint Eastwood. Very like. Having said that, though, I love because I worked the second shift, 3 to 11. I love coming home and just being able to do and watch something where I don't have to think.
Yes, agreed.
Having said that, I did recently just plow through 5 seasons of Rick and Morty on HBO, and it's brilliant. It's just similar to because I'm a South Park era generation kid. Right. I was in middle school when that came out, and of course I've carried that along with me in my entire life. But it's so brilliantly written because it's so completely random, and you and I appreciate random and everything that comes with that. And it's just organized and chaotic, and I don't have to think about it. And it's fantastic. So now you're going to tell me, oh, I read this book by this Nobel laureate, and it's fantastic. And here I am watching cartoons.
No, absolutely not. First of all, one thing really quick about that is I had watched I can't remember where it is, but there's a documentary on Nickelodeon and sort of its origins and what happened to that. And Rick and Morty was part of that. So that was interesting. But no, this is what I've been listening to, which I'm late to the party on this, but I have been wanting to listen to it. It's a podcast with Kristen and Steven from Laguna Beach, the MTV show from like the early aughts. So they were, a love interest on the show. And it was one of the earlier reality shows. And what they've gone back and they're doing is they watch the episodes and then they do a podcast where they talk about the episode. And it's really, really interesting because you realize, you always hear like with, reality shows, like, oh, it's how it's edited. But hearing them talk about it is really interesting, where they will say, this was in this episode as happening then, but we actually shot that, weeks later or month later or whatever. Like, so it's kind of interesting how all of that plays out. But also I enjoyed like guilty pleasure, absolutely watching Laguna Beach. So then hearing them talk about it, and it's very entertaining. So I've been enjoying that.
I'm very big into just going all in on the quote unquote guilty pleasures, right? Like, cause Coldplay, I love Coldplay, they are my Nickelback, right? Like, sure, you can dunk on them all you want there, but I've seen them live. I've seen their, tour documentaries 100 times. It's fine. Just go all in on them. Don't feel guilty about enjoying things. Now, if you like Nickelback, though, we should probably talk.
There's too much pressure to be cool with everything. Yeah. And then there's always like, oh, you listen to that or you watch that or you're not reading this or doing that.
Yeah.
No. I'm telling you what, I am tired. I'm not really reading anything that is probably particularly cerebral or educational or really anything at all sometimes. So it's fine. Just enjoy yourself. Just who cares? It's like people are like, oh, this is my favorite. One of my favorites. I don't watch TV. Okay, well, good for you.
What do you do then, Elizabeth? Right? What do you do?
Right. I saw a tweet. There was something about for people who don't like small talk, did they just come home and go, let's talk about my existential dread?
And coming up in episode 2 of Oh Hi with Kath and Nath,
we'll be discussing
manifesting success through existential dread.
This is basically what this podcast is all about. Thank you very much. You just really put our mission statement out there in a really succinct way.
There it is right there. On that note, we'll see you next time, Kate.
Bye, Z's. Bye, Nath.